Hi. Hope everyone's doing well. Bear with me 1 minute. Just gonna grab some water. Blind. Just looked directly into a lamp. Can't see. If you'd like to ask a question during the live stream, question in brackets. I'm not sure if we're shilling for anything in particular today. Love my NordVPN. I use it, links under my videos for that. Love JR Fabrication, if you want real ships. I think Zin is probably at home in bed still. That'd be my expectation. Hi. How's it going? Need to sort out my green screen at some point so that you can't see the magical shimmer. Even this fake Origin 404. Even that makes more sense, eh? So how are people doing? I hope you are doing well. I've been a bit ill over the last few days. I had well, we sort of had Fleet Week. And I was sort of planning some stuff. Went out with one of my mates, went to a restaurant, came home, and for about 2 days had, well, 1 night and 2 days overall, but I had the worst stomach cramps that I've ever had, to the point where at one point I was on the floor in my bathroom, sweating, just drenched in sweat. Unable to move because I was so tired, and I didn't have the energy to call out for help or anything. I was just like, I need to get to hospital. I need to go to hospital. This pain has to stop. I sort of laid there and went, this is hell. Didn't go to hospital in the end. Had a couple of painkillers. Yeah, probably food poisoning or bacterial infection or something. It was pretty rough. Pretty rough. I'm still feeling the effects pretty significantly today. I'm dehydrated no matter how much liquid I drink. I'm totally full. I'm brimming to bursting point with water, and I'll still drink more. Yeah, so we know a reasonable amount about this year's CitizenCon. Let's see if is there a save the date page. There is a save the date page which I can link for you. Do I own that page? Oh. CitizenCon 2951 is going all digital on October 9th. or your Star Citizen Con, October 9th. Digital Way in the event. Should be pretty cool. We will be covering it. Moon's in. I think she's probably going to be getting a bonus to do it. Probably goes in. Covering it for the whole day. So, should be pretty cool. Looking forward to that for sure. That is now just over 4 months away. I didn't talk about poo-poos. I just said stomach cramp. I didn't say how bad the poo-poos were. We don't have the times involved or what times throughout the day CitizenCon will be on. It'll be an all-day event. So hope everyone is doing well though. Hope people enjoyed Fleet Week. So I'll talk. I want to talk a little bit about Fleet Week. What did you buy, if anything? What do you think of 3.13.1? However, the main topics I sort of want to talk about today are 3.14. Flymo, thank you very much. You're a star. Resubscribed. Words. 12 months. That's a long time. Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate the sub. You're a star. You're doing well, Flymo. So yeah, I think that 3.14 is an interesting patch because it is going to change up combat, especially quite significantly. It has been stripped of some of the bits that I wanted, mainly sort of medical gameplay, stuff like that, getting pushed back to 3.15. And sort of gutted some of that content out. A little bit unfortunate. There'll be a video up later today talking about that in a bit more detail, exactly what we're getting for 3.14. But I'll talk again about it now. Hope you're dying well, and the illness bliss is all gone. Thanks, Flymo. I am dying well. No, thank you, Flymo. I love you, mate. So you're waiting on Alien Week, yeah. So around the middle of June is Alien Week. So let me bring up what we had. Alien Week start. So listen. I'm hoping they do a little what we're going to get in June post. Let's bring that up. So, Alien Week last year, it was on June 12th. It's sort of like when First Contact Day with the Bannies celebrated. And so around middle of June, they have an Alien Week, and typically they have some interesting alien lore posts and learn some languages stuff, some competitions going on, and some ship sales. So, what's so special about Alien Week this year? Well, I suspect we'll see loads of alien ships on sale, mainly because they weren't at the Intergalactic. They weren't at Fleet Week. I think CIG were going, hang on, we actually make quite a bit of money if we sell the Banner merchant and stuff like that again. However, we are potentially we could potentially get the Xi'an cargo ship going on concept sale as well, because the CIG have certainly started to flesh out more of the background with that. There's some Galactopedia posts talking about a human Xi'an ship being built. Thanks to the MA. They help me sleep. You're awesome. No worries. I take that as a great compliment to see. I will watch certain people to try and sleep, because I like listening to their voice, or I like learning stuff as I'm trying to get to bed. Last night, actually, but thank you. Go Mitch yourself. Thank you very much. Last night, I discovered. I don't look on Netflix much, but I was like, someone said go watch more Castlevania. So I only watched the first season of Castlevania. Really enjoyed it. But it's on season 4 now. And I was like, oh, I'll go and watch that. And I was like, oh, maybe it's a bit heavy for bed. Because I actually want to watch the animation and all that sort of stuff. Or what is it? Japanese inspired animation, but not anime. I call it anime. Whatever. So I found is it Jupiter's Legacy? Jupiter Rising? Something like that. Jupiter's Legacy, about dysfunctional superheroes. I started watching that and then went to bed early at around 10 p.m. and actually got to bed at 2 a.m. after watching like half the series. So Netflix not great for trying to sleep. when you quite like the series you're watching. How is the how's my voice and how's my hiss? I put on some dehissominator, which I hope is working well. Or is it still really hissy? What do you anticipate the Xi'an cargo ship will be priced at? It's hard to tell, because alien tax is involved, as it were. It's sort of the exotic tax. And we don't know the size of it, really. Like, the original expectation was medium-sized, but competitive with Freelancer Max, but 300 SCU cargo units. What's it going to be? Is it going to have... It's supposed to be multi-crew as well, so that suggests to me defensive nature turrets and stuff like that. So a Xi'an cargo ship, probably quite maneuverable, pretty fast. Got some interesting things going for it. Probably very good in atmosphere as well as just landing around anywhere. Depending on its size, is going to massively affect its price. Sounds fine to me. Nice. So, I mean, up to $250. As low as $150. It's the sort of range I think we're looking at. Thinking about it. Yeah, sorry that I'm streaming at an odd time. I was going to stream yesterday, but I was like, nope, still rough. I still feel dead. I lie in bed. Feel sorry for myself. Actually, no, I didn't feel sorry for myself. I got some naps. It was quite nice. So the Bengal Terrier, really indestructible. It is pricey. As far as I'm aware, it's indestructible currently. Not supposed to be indestructible eventually. Moki Star on a giveaway. Entry. So on the live streams, why they are live streams, they don't count as entries because I can't grab the comments from them for giveaways or for the monthly giveaway. So please bear that in mind. Specifically on the videos I make. Technically, the uploaded versions of any of my live streams, once they become a video of their own, comments will then count, but not during the live stream. Do you see what I mean? I mean, I saw a C2 sit forever while a major station turret tried to get through its shields. I can imagine what it takes to scratch that carrot. Indeed. Well, you could take its shields out. You could damage some of parts of it, but it was pretty much indestructible other than that. Like, blow the turrets off, I think. At least you could during the PTU. C2 just gets obliterated by a Bengal, though, in a couple of seconds. I can see all the chats, Mitch. When will the Polaris come back to the roadmap? We don't know yet. So it's an interesting one because they basically said we're moving the Polaris off the roadmap a month or so ago, and we will bring that back on the roadmap. We're just working out where it's going to be. It's quite possible that they've got some prioritization that they want to get other ships in the game, like the Vulture, like the Hull C, like the Corsair, some of the other ships that we found out that they were working on, and yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. But Polaris is very popular. I'm obviously being able they're working on abandoned merchantmen and things like that. There's a truck outside my house. Sorry if it's loud. I'm not sure if the sound smoothing, sound good, make sound good is working well or not. 'Cause it's the first time I've used it. You see on the Reddit board that your JR Fab code only gave 1 cent off. So the JR Fabrication code is not to get discount, it's to get free stuff. So you get the free art prints. Like week inspired ones. Did I not make that clear? Also, you get a 1 cent discount, which I didn't realise you got any form of discount. It was for free loots. But yeah, with the Polaris, expect to see it back on the roadmap in the next couple of months. Would be my expectation. Although I think it's going to be quite far out as a ship now. They originally had said that they wanted to get the Polaris, or it was they implied that the Polaris was going to be worked on and completed before the ban in Merchantman. That might not be the case anymore. Will Space Whales be in 3.14? The ones for Orison. You will see Space Whale statue and potentially Space Whale plushie and Space Whale dude in a suit. But not Space Whales breaching the planet surface. No creatures in 3.14. Eventually, yes, but not there yet. What else have we got here? It's like at 6:30 a.m. You're a monster, Gravity Cat. Do you know if they are doing anything to improve the flow of picking up and interacting with items in first person? It feels very clunky. Yes, loads. So there's a load of netcode-based stuff for that. There's a load of animation stuff for that they are working on. And one of the larger things they're doing is the player interaction system and usable interaction system, which they're literally going, how do I interact with objects? How do I make this flow feel good? It's something that they're doing. I don't know, it's sort of like to what extent with each patch. Yes, it is clunky at the moment, especially for mining, which is what you suppose you interact with the most at the moment as a player. They're adding FPS scanning and things like that into the mix. I think 3.15 now. Work on boat movement parameters looks to end in June, and the leaks of the 400i with the June patch. Coincidence? I think not. Chris Roberts is there just to make sure I don't break any form of NDAs. He's just a little smiley boy. He likes watching my stuff. He likes watching in first person. He likes being there. What are these rumours I keep hearing about Port Olisar going away soon? So, a good while ago, they said Port Olisar would eventually get replaced. Yeah? Get replaced with the new space station tech. Crusader is turning up as a proper visitable location in 3.14, as is Orison. Port Olisar is the station above or near Crusader, yeah? So it's likely they'll go, we need a proper station at Crusader that reflects all of the stuff that station needs to do. Port Olisar is not that at the moment. It is a legacy station. It does not have all the things that they need it to have, like the cargo decks and docking collars. Yeah? So it's likely that with 3.14, Port Olisar could get replaced then or soon after. Makes sense. In the latest video, they said the Bengal had AI turrets. So yes, so it was using AI module technology. So it steps towards AI blades. It steps towards lightweight AI, which are more sensible. They need to get these things in the game at some point if you want to have AI crew, if you want to have AI turrets, if they want to have these giant capital ships flying around shooting stuff without issues of performance and the servers going. They need AI modular stuff is just very lightweight. Talking about AI turrets, the difference between the Bengal turrets worked in comparison with the Idris and Davison Xenothreat. Yes, so expect them all to get updated with the updated UI, updated AI. It's not a confirmation that Port Olisar is going away in 3.14, but it makes the most sense that it will go away then or soon after. I don't think they'll keep that legacy station in. Yeah, so a lot of people think the Ninetales are going to be destroying Port Olisar. That's that boom. I think that was literally just a rumor that started randomly. Obviously, we saw Port Olisar get blown up once by the Vandal as well, when they were showing off the first iteration of Render the Texture Tech, I think, on screens. It was several years ago. How do you feel about CIG gutting so many gameplay features of 3.14? I mean, I don't want them to gut features. I was very much looking forward to medical gameplay, especially in 3.14. But it's a shame that some of that stuff, well, all of that stuff got pushed out, for sure. So FPS. So it was local inventory, FPS radar, and the healing stuff that I was most upset that got pushed back. I think those are one of the major features that got pushed back. There's still a good amount in 3.14, for sure. I've got Crusader and Horizon. They're going to be huge, and gameplay associated with that, and that sort of stuff. That's important. There's going to be huge combat changes with the, well, it was capacity gameplay, but now they've referred to it as power management version 2. So power management is going to have you having much more critical decisions about where you put your power at any given time. Capacitors are going to charge up for each of the components, and you can use extra power sort of in those systems briefly, give you speed boost or agility boost or damage boost or fire boost or more power to shields or whatever. You see what I mean? And I think that laser repeaters and laser weapons are going to make use of capacitors to actually, they'll drain when you fire them. So if you can't just hold the button down, because then that needs to charge the capacitor up before it can fire again. So I think there's some quite good stuff going on there with capacitor gameplay, potentially. I mean, if it goes wrong, if it's bad, that's going to, you know, make combat bad for a while. So I have to see how this implementation works. And they've also got the missile updates, but also the what's it called? The control mode for missiles. So you can switch into it. Boop, boop, boop. So you either fire your conventional weapons in a single-seater fighter or use missiles. But on a multi-crew ship, you can obviously have someone using the missiles at a separate station. Sort of quite like that idea, thinking about it. Want missiles to be important and not just be casually used. Maybe, I don't know. It's the future. You'd obviously be able to, in combat, be able to easily use missiles. But they sort of separated it out for gamified reasons. Now, what do you think their big CitizenCon showpiece will be this year? I think they're going to show off Pyro and Nyx. I think they're going to be, because they've implied it will be out of this system. The sort of the feel I get is that they want to show off some of these new system stuff. They might want to show off some of the work on these outposts and homesteads. So some form of new mission that they've got that shows off new ship, new tech, new system, this sort of stuff. Beam weapons when? We want the laser beams. We know that there's going to be proper beam weapons in the game. We just don't know when. Idris K, for example, has a proper beam weapon. So far, no major things have changed in the universe because of events. I mean, they've added locations as part of events. Interesting to see Port Olisar explode, because that was a thing that happened. You'd better go into another server potentially to see it explode again, or maybe explode at the same time. It would be weird, wouldn't it? Hello, hello, hello. Pretty certain the Port Olisar will get destroyed by Xenothreat. Starsets and Links have played all the audio. Okay, yeah. I mean, the stuff like that changes. Then they might have originally planned for it to blow up, and then they might have changed their plans. That's what I'm saying. Do you expect the gutting of patches to be a consistent trend in the future, or do you think they will start to pick up the slack? It'll be a mix. Some patches you're going to see they'll meet what they plan to put in there, and they'll get some extra stuff in there. And sometimes, even when it's a minor feature that gets moved off, I think a lot of people will react as if it's a major thing. So, Board hopes all are well. Looking at the roadmap, Horizon is still not confirmed. Oh, I would expect Horizon to be in 3.14. I'd be pretty upset if I had to wait another 3 months for Horizon and Crusader. Yeah, like that sort of needs to be in there, in my opinion. Do you think they keep things secret if they need to rip apart a patch like 3.14? To make it feel full, e.g. new HUDs suddenly added, been committed. No, I think those sort of some of the minor things typically are ready, or they might go, right, guys, what can we actually put in this patch? Extra, if possible. Oh, this is ready, this is ready, this is ready, cool. But I think they would have actually done that anyway. They might make a bit more of a song and dance about it on the roadmap. to flesh it out. And it is a shame that these things get gutted for sure. Typically as well, I don't think they have like a few weeks in advance then go, it's not going to make it there. They literally like, it probably will, it's not going to, because of X, Y, and Z now, and that can be just a month or so before the patch goes live. Will the med beds in Carrax always enable spawning, or will they be nerfed to only help people who have been dragged back to the ship? I think the low tier beds won't be able to be used for spawning in the future. That's my expectation. I think it'll only be the higher tier beds or specific facilities that you'll be able to spawn back at. So maybe at Endeavour Hospital, maybe at the Apollo. That's sort of what they've implied by the original medical gameplay they've talked about for the tiered system of stuff, and they did a bit of Q&A. Stuff like that changes those, so... Do you expect Alien Cargo Ship to appear as straight to flyable at Alien Week? I don't think it will be ready. I think it'll be concept. I've not heard of that ship being ready. There's other ships we've heard about in leaks recently, so close your eyes, close your ears. If you don't want to know, briefly, the Star Citizen leaks I think I've talked about, and Anvil Longbow, sort of like a large capital ship. I think that's what they called it, which I don't know anything about at all. Beyond that leak's name, and obviously the 400i, and we've also had potential leaks on the Argo Raft, which could be a capital ship, although some people think it might be a refinery ship. You might be able to cover this. What are your feelings about what kind of ship the Argo Raft is? Refinery or cargo transport? Yeah, makes sense. Will there be any new armor for Concierge? There probably will be in the future. It's worth to have the Scorpius for Polaris Hangar Bay as a combat fighter. It should fit with its wings folded, or will fit with its wings folded down, of course. Yeah, I think that's actually pretty good shout for the Polaris. Please give Polaris. We'll get some information. We're going to be updating the ship buzz guides on all those ships in the not too distant future. So, do you think the new operator modes are useless for larger ships? It makes sense for fighters, but I think missile scanning should be on the MFDs. So, missile operator modes should make multi-crew much more interesting and viable. It will be the bread and butter of multi-crew gameplay. I think they're primarily for multi-crew ships. Would you rather see more Tier 0 gameplay or one complete gameplay at a time? Good question. Probably more Tier 0 gameplay now. At the moment, because there's lots of gameplay loops I want to see in the game. Do VTOL thrusters currently have any effect on lift? I'm struggling to find any difference when I turn them off and on, even on the Hercules or Constellation. They were supposed to. They need to get the updated control service stuff in. So I'm not sure. I have not done tests specifically on a flight model and atmosphere. You think it would be better if devs, if they just focus on making existing assets actually working and stable, and then adding more stuff? Yeah, so if they originally had... Okay, the Elite Dangerous model, I mean, that's obviously Odyssey did not have the best release. But the Elite Dangerous model of finishing the core, releasing it as a full product, and then adding more, I think might have suited Star Citizen better. However, Star Citizen's doing it as Star Citizen is doing it. I think that's a conversation that I'd be willing to change my mind on in the future. I mean, we just don't know. Are there any ships slated to be compatible for E-Warfare? The Sentinel. I think the Herald. Maybe. I mean, it depends on what you mean by e-warfare as well. So some capital ships will have the ability to do that modularly. For sure. What type of gameplay? So it'll be a mixture of hacking, spoofing, so spoofing signatures, confusing signatures, probably messing around with targeting, things like that would be my expectation for hacking and e-warfare. What career are you most excited to play? I'm really into the economy and industry stuff for the game for sure. But all of it coming together is what I'm most excited about. Do you think that with ship modularity, the Caterpillar will see a rework? I think it will get its modules added. I think it will get some little bits of tweaks. But obviously, we're going to see the Retaliator with modularity first, I think they've said. I think that's planned for 3.15 now. What else do we have? Look at me moderating. Moderating like a bloody champ. What else have we got? Is the Ninetales an SCP reference? I don't think so. I don't think it's an SCP reference. Secure, Contain, Protect, SCP Foundation. So it's sort of like really cool SCP. So it's basically a website that people could write stories on effectively, and they sort of everyone added to the database, and it's all about these weird, anomalous entities or items, and that the SCP could or contain Protect Foundation as in their custody or is encountered. So loads of like creepypasta and interesting stories, and sort of building with the community, building a world and lore of all these different things, and sort of taking life its own. There was originally a few hundred, now it's thousands and thousands of items. Some good stories in there as well. With the new tech they developed for tank tracks, do you think they could use that to make some ships that could drive around the landing gear down? I believe that is what is happening, because they said that that was going to be the case with the Vanguards, because they do have tracks on them, the Vanguards. You've seen some of the landing gear. Did I read somewhere that they are no longer planning to lock component types to certain ships? So I read that they've implied that as well. I'm a bit unsure what is happening with components and ships suitable for them, because originally there was going to, like, each ship was going to be able to use two different types of component, like civilian and military, or military and industrial, or racing and performance, whatever that was called. But they weren't going to be able to use them all, and then they sort of implied, well, actually all ships will be able to use all of them as long as they're sensible for the ship to use that. So size-based system rather than size and quality-based, or size and pipe-based. They look like they're making the pipe system more simple. So with that in mind, we don't 100% know, but it looks like it's going to be easier just to get whatever components you want on your ship of the appropriate size now. Do I want to own the Crusader tram? So this is the little space bus they showed for Crusader. I think it's cool. People are supposed to ask John Crew repeatedly to make it a reality in game. And it's going to be a reality in game. It's going to be how you move around the Crusader zones. The Starliner, we don't know where it is at the moment. I'm expecting it in game probably next year at some point. So I think they're going to want it to move players around from planet to planet, and potentially system to system, without having their own ship do that. Because some people are only going to have fighters, and they're going to want to move around for reasons. Morning from sunny Kent. Thank you very much, Plastic Death. Thanks for keeping me sane whilst I clean my wife's hair out of the clogged shower drainer. Buff. Hopefully she's still not attached to it. Thank you very much, Plastic Death. You're a star and a legend. Hope you're doing well on this fine weekend. Thank you very much for this big donation as well. Like money. Makes my stomach feel a bit better. Death cramp. We're seeing less and less features every patch, often delayed and pushed back. What do you think is causing this? They're focusing more. I don't think that's necessarily true. I do think for the last couple of PTUs, a couple of big features have been pushed back. Sure. PTUs, major patches. So that's a mixture of COVID and just stuff not being ready. They are working quite a lot. 3.14 still got quite a bit of stuff in it. Is it a shame that they don't have? Is it a shame they don't have the medical gameplay and that sort of stuff for 3.14? Yeah, really annoying. I was hoping they'd make it, but I wouldn't say like they're get slower and slower and slower with them. They are certainly speeding up with development overall. When do I think they'll see the Apollo? Apollo's going to be a little while out, I think. So, medical gameplay is important. Obviously, they want to get medical gameplay now in 3.15. But it's only the start of medical gameplay. The actual tiered system of beds and stuff like that, I think they're going to be waiting a while to implement full Death of a Spaceman. But you'll see it iteratively done and evolve. Apollo, end of next year, maybe? Depends on priorities. Is it possible that CIG is meaning to just replace Borealis with Horizon? I mean, it's possible. I would expect a major space station nearby, though. Because it's the thing to do with docking collars and that sort of stuff. Could the spaceport there do all the things that a space station could do? Potentially. But I think they would have talked about that. I think they'll want a space station there, and I think they will want to replace Borealis at some point. Or do you think VR will work with this game someday? I think that we'll see next-gen VR, well, Gen 1.5 VR, whatever you want to call it, with Squadron 42. I'm not sure when they have it for Star Citizen. Has there been any news regarding the possibility of full VR support with haptic feedback? Typically, if you want haptic feedback and that sort of stuff, you'll get a separate product for that haptic feedback. Do you remember the ship designing contest that RSI did a while back? So the next great starship. Is there any chance it will happen again? So they wanted to have the next great Star Marine and do some armor for the community, but that sort of went on pause at the same time that the Star Citizen HOTAS and sort of that stuff went on pause as well. And I think they said that close to Squadron 42's release, this was years ago, that they'd be looking at doing something again. We do know, obviously, that they've recently done a competition with Thrustmaster, CIG. So maybe they're talking to Thrustmaster about maybe making them a HOTAS. Not a confirmation, just a random speculation. I think the Terrapin will have a use. So Terrapin is going to be very good at exploring and scanning in more dangerous areas of space, short range. So maybe if you want to get a composition of a fleet, or fly into a dangerous nebula, or go into a dangerous area, it'd be very useful for that. You can take a punishment if it gets seen. It's pretty tanky, pretty shielded against the elements. What percentage of Squadron 42 do you think is finished? 0% is finished. Because the finishing comes in the last little polish at the end. I'm hoping that we see Squadron 42 released next year. I've hoped that since 2016. Been 2 years since I last called up on Star Citizen, when things like object container streaming and server meshing were still not delivered. Has this been done now? Are we close to release? We're not close to release, no. It's going to be ages before release. We're talking 4 years, Tom, before release, sort of thing. I think that's probably optimistic for Star Citizen. They do release a major patch every quarter, though, that is playable now. That's a sort of it's a playable game there to an extent. Object container streaming's all very much in. Server meshing is being worked on now still, although they've got loads of bits of it sort of individually working and moving towards proper implementation of it. But that's not going to be done for like first stage server meshing, not for maybe a year. Will CIG redesign the insides of some ships? Because the interior is strange. So they might do some tweaks to bits. They're obviously going to make sure ships are compliant with this guy's components, and might have to update them for other needs. I wouldn't expect major reworks, though. SCP-173, that's the statue, isn't it not? Probably the most famous SCP? Larger ships firing missiles with new operator modes would they have to be pointed towards the enemy, as I think this should be on MFD. They can be fired in any direction. So technically the missile operator mode may allow for firing in any direction that the launcher could fire. That'd be my expectation. Perseus or Polaris? I like the Perseus more. I like the big brawly guns, like its simplicity. Anything Ninetales is a Naruto reference. Well, I mean, the Ninetale Fox and sort of could be a Pokemon reference. Like that's all referenced from sort of Ninetale Fox and demons and things anyway. Is the resource pipe system coming with the new damage system? So, 3.14 has got some of the new power system in it, and the new resource systems. Yeah, I think you'll get them sort of drip fed to us over the next few quarters. I mean, it's meant to work with the new damage system and physicalized components, so, and that's core for them to get that in game as soon as possible, in my opinion. Why would CIG make it a Perseus and fully intend for it to go directly into combat, but then basically give it zero defense, sort of AA turrets? I see what you mean. It's supposed to be a sort of super brawler. Supposed to work with other ships, so they gamify a lot of this stuff. So, it's really great, the Perseus, but it needs cover from hammerheads, things like that. Yeah, I understand that. Looking from a military perspective, it would be unacceptable to make a ship like that. Does anyone actually expect other people to defend it mid-fleet battle and drop everything they're doing to just shoot down torps? Well, I suspect that there'll be ships defending and wings of fighters and things defending, preventing the torpedoes from getting there. Well, I mean, it depends where you position the Polaris. Not Polaris. Depends where you position your Perseus, doesn't it, as well? Next to two hammerheads and a wing. Hammerhead each side of it. It's taking out fighters, and move the Perseus together with that. You have little battle groups, for sure. I think the big ship battles are going to be literally who is organised at best. I think armour will be dieable in-game. I think you will be able to clear armour. For sure. Good level of customisation would be my expectation. You think the Terrapin will get a rework? I think it'll get some small updates. And also, when do you think it will have a use? So, they are doing some scanning updates over the next couple of quarters. So maybe they'll have a mission, some missions that might make more use of it. It could be a while, I don't know. Maybe they'll tie it to exploration gameplay in the further future. I don't think it's a priority for them to give the Terrapin a proper use yet. Didn't the monthly report say something about most engineers now working on server meshing? Yeah, there's a huge amount of people working on server meshing, yes. At least from some of the teams. Do you think they might be aiming for CitizenCon? I think they will want to show off some of the stuff that server meshing can do at CitizenCon, yes. Do you think it might be tied to being able to actually transition between two star systems easily and have the quanta system sort of working? So they're going to want to show off a load of tech, which might not be ready, but they can demo it. And mining seems like it's almost done as a profession when Orison, Gib. So, mining is the most refined gameplay loop we have, probably. But it's, and they've even added refining to it. But, I mean, that's because it's part of the larger, greater quanta economy system. They need the minables to make actual goods that will be sold in game. So the system's not done by any means, and there's going to be things you can do by EVAing out of your ship and putting things on sort of minables. There's going to be these sort of like larger Orion scale strip mining, and there's a lot going on there. Do you think we'll be able to control shields, power, etc. as a co-pilot or crew member, as it currently only works to the pilot? Yes, you'll be able to separate those tasks out to different members of your crew. Partly what operator modes are for, but there's going to be a permission system so you can give them access to certain systems to go, you're an engineer, you can do these things. You are a tactical officer, you can do these things. Access to these MFTs and these operator modes. If the Lumberyard engine gets ray tracing support, RTX or Open Limix, do you think Star Citizen will update to support it? They will update to support it if it's sensible to do so. You've just seen the adoption with the Unreal 5 engine of their own lumens sort of thing, so they've started moving away from ray tracing, just because it's so computationally heavy. So, and CIG are very much going down a hardware neutral route, going down the Vulkan support route, and they might build their own global illumination thing even. What mic are you using? Always sounds so crystal clear. Is that actually true? I just put on, I'm using a AT 2020, Audio Technica 2020. I've just turned on a thing that's supposed to reduce the hissing in my background because I've got loads of fans going on. I've got an open case for my PC. Will Star Citizen get ray tracing? If sensible, they will add it. However, I'm not sure if they're going to add that. I think it is too computationally heavy. I think they will go for either their own thing or use a Unreal 5. It's got its own sort of lumen system now, which is significantly lighter weight. Given how little we've seen of the Taurus, is it still tentative? Yeah, it's still not confirmed for 3.14, but I would expect it. But it's always possible that features get pushed back even last minute. If 3.14 PTU is handed out to content creators before release, and just like the Herc and Bangle, Orison is spoiled because I can't escape the spoils from social media, I will be raged. That one, people are certainly going to leak it in Evocati. I say certainly going to. They shouldn't, but they do. Or someone leaks it to SC Leaks. And there's going to be PTU phase, first wave PTU. I'll be making loads of content on it. Okay. Speaking of 400 million, isn't that the amount? I don't know if did Elite Dangerous actually lose money because of the poor Odyssey release. I haven't actually done any research into it. Are they ever going to explore more of the city planets, ArcCorp, or is it just going to be a landing zone? So they want to, for example, with ArcCorp, have different mission areas around the area. You'll be able to land on roofs. You'll be able to assault some of those buildings. So they do want more content there. How do depletable resources work? Do they respawn? We don't know yet. We know that they want a cycle of finding ore, mining that ore, and it to being depletable. However, I suspect over time it'll probably respawn, or new veins will be discovered, potentially in very similar areas. Sort of system for that. And they could say, it's because the scanning tech's getting better, or it's because the drilling tech's getting better. That you could actually now make these ore veins viable. There's a huge amount of space in Star Citizen. I don't think it will feel repetitive or anything. That's my expectation on that. What new mission types do you think we could get in the next year? Mining, perhaps? Mining and cargo missions, new bounty hunting missions, some medical stuff, search and rescue, lots of stuff with AI. There's lots of stuff they want to put in within the next few months. Relatively new to the game, and hacking ones. Hacking is going to be a big thing with 3.15. Relatively new to the game, I heard about claiming plots of land. So don't worry about that too much at the moment. There is going to be land claim gameplay, so you will be able to, in UEE systems, so the claimed systems, you will be able to go, I want this patch of land on this planet. Cool. Go to put land claim down, like 4x4 or 2x2 kilometers. So pretty big patches of land, and then go and pay for that land, and then it's protected by UEE law. So someone else tries to use your land or attack your base there or whatever, the UEE security will turn up and help deal with them, and they'll get criminal ratings and stuff like that. So they can't just run around your base. It will say, stay here, you get a criminal rating, and then they get a criminal rating. That's the idea of some of that land claim gameplay. However, in the non-secured systems, like Pyro, for example, you don't use land claims because there's no security forces there to protect you from the UE. So it's Wild West. You don't need them. You think that Squadron 42 will come out in 2022? I hope so. If not, will it sort of die and it comes out in 2023 plus? No. I think there's still enough hype there for Star Citizen. I think that Star Citizen still makes a huge amount of money. I think the community and a good portion of the whales are happy to keep on funding it. I think that Star Citizen only becomes more and more popular as games go, well, actually, it's not a scam. However, when's it going to come out? Well, we don't know. And but every year gets a year closer to release. I do think it gets more and more mainstream every year. And obviously the playable alpha gets a little bit more playable. So I do think they need a traditional sort of media campaign, advertising campaign for Squadron. Could we start to see that at CitizenCon this year? It's a possibility, yes. But I still think even if Squadron 42 was delayed for 2 years, it would still be fine. I'd be a little weary. RTX is still the future in how it works. Yeah, so potentially, yes. However, I would like a more... Yeah, and how it works, yes. I'd like a more hardware-neutral way of doing it. And I'd like it to be less computationally heavy. Elite shares fell hard. Okay, I haven't actually researched much into it. It's not my area of expertise. Me and my friends were thinking of playing Star Citizen. What ship would you recommend for a 4-man crew? Something we can do a bunch of activities on. Mercury Star Runner. Constellation. Mercury Star Runner is probably best choice, I think. Would allow you to do a bunch of activities on. Unless you want to go into mining. In which case, a mole. Currently we have a... What exactly are they changing with quantum jumping and spooling? Oh, don't 100% know yet. So they are going to be making the quantum experience better and more sensible. Obviously they also want it to be able to tie into ships being pulled out of quantum more easily, or in a slightly different way. and you're getting distress signals, and there being more gameplay to Quantum as well. So, don't 100% know. I know they're improving the system and improving the sort of interactive experience there. Currently, we have a smaller miner, Prospector, and a semi-medium multi-cruise ship, Mole. Do you think we'll get a companion craft to make less valuable materials more viable to go with these? Well, they're planning to build a mobile refinery. When do we get to capture live bounties? When they put less than lethal weapons in game, which is actually probably pretty soon. If you die in priorities, they're going to be going to a hospital there. So there's still Ruin Station. Might have a clinic. You could still potentially be just respawned in the standard system. And there's eventually going to be like Endeavours and other capital ships, which you might be able to spawn in there as well. Or Apollos and things like that. Once we can slave turrets, will the M2 be able to slave all 3 turrets so they're automated? Maybe. It depends on its AI blades. And we don't have enough information about its computer systems and AI blade capabilities. The LSS would be a great boon. Yes, indeed. Is it dynamic resolution for AMD? Whatever it is. I mean, there will need to be some sort of system for stopping builds being placed in radius. It's usually done by claim. Yeah, makes sense. Will player outposts have shops? I believe so. They've talked about shops before, being part of homesteads, being part of like the Banu Merchantmen, being part of the Krakens. So I would expect that player bases will also be able to have shops. News doing well. Thanks for answering my questions. I'm going to go and try and get some more rest. No worries, Vernon. Thanks very much for joining me. Do you think the 400i will get a redesign, or has got a redesign after the Tooth projects? So I think from what we've seen in the 400i leaks is that it will have changed slightly from what we expected it to look like, but I do think it will still be a thing in game eventually. When do you think we'll see server meshing? Middle of next year would be my expectation for first tier server meshing. Well, actually, when we see it, I think we'll see it with CitizenCon. I think they will be showing off that tech. Thoughts on the leaked raft? So, refinery ship or cargo ship? What was it I wanted to show? So, some people thought that this was the raft, but I'll tell you what I think this is. So this right here, some people thought this was a new ship or raft. I think this is just a little drone. I think this is just a little droney boy. The 2 little aerials. It's flying like this. It's just a drone. Little drone boy. It's flying around this military base. This little drone. I'm a drone. Just a little drone. Just a drone. They said that for like an hour. Yeah. Do we know how they calculate in-game ship prices? No, it is a mystery to all. Bored, I wasn't aware that I would have to navigate my ship through jump points wormholes. So now I'm wondering if the size of my ship affects the size of the wormhole. Okay, so there is supposed to be wormhole sizes, so only certain ships can fit through certain wormholes, and then you have to go different routes. That was the original idea. To what extent we'll have to pilot our ships through jump points, we don't know. Will it just, if one's a map, can we just autopilot it? Well, you can probably get an NPC or an AI or a system to autopilot you through. We'll have to wait and see exactly what they want to do with that. They can't have it so it's deadly and hard to do, though. They want people to be moving around the game. Do Do you think CIG might get an award for being the first and only game to have real-looking gas giants with the gas calculator? I mean, I think it's certainly going to look great. Sorry, Jeff, I won't forget you. Will CIG license... Will CIG license some of these innovations like Quanta to other games? Potentially. They're sort of working with Amazon in some way. I mean, they use the Lumberyard Engine. What do you think... Which ships do you think will get the naming pass next? C2 or Prowler? It's a good question. I was assuming that all ships that became flyable in game were going to get to the naming pass, but obviously that's not the case. Are there any updates on the merchant lady? It's being worked on. And we can see it's being worked on until at least the end of this year. I'm expecting it middle of next year. Has the commodity price alerts in the journal now been disabled? Noticed that no one is hauling again. So it was a major update for Fleet Week, and expect to see some major use of that and some other changes to the economy in 3.14. Have CIG mentioned anything in regards to atmospheric flight lately? They're getting the control services working. They're tweaking some of the stuff. They haven't talked anything specifically about 3.14, 3.15 though. What else have we got here? Has the Mustang Alpha cargo hold been fixed yet? No, I don't think... Well, I don't think it's been updated properly yet. You can't put items directly in it properly. That's still the intention. Is there support for the Logitech Extreme 3D joystick? Yes, I've used one of those with Star Citizen before. Or was not working on it previously. When will we have bigger servers instead of 50 people to go to 100 or more? It's possible they might do some tests later this year, but expect with server meshing, probably middle of next year, we'll see lots more players on the server. Hundreds, if not lots more. It's not just a drone BG, it's an integral part of the EE team, and you will respect its service. Yes, that's true. I'm sorry. Drone rights. What gameplay loop are you personally most interested in? It's industrial and economy gameplay stuff, for the most part, although more of it is just everything coming together. Do you know what I mean? Are there any details on upcoming medical gameplay? So the 3.14 gameplay is going to be the use of a medical tool, which you can get as a little module for your multi-tool, or you can get a dedicated medical tool, and you'll be able to scan people's vitals and work out what to do to cure them, heal them, Medigel them, and you'll be able to, with the dedicated medical tool, adjust chemicals that you can give to them, and medicines you can give to them to help them. Eventually, that will also be people being knocked down, reviving them, and taking them to places to stabilize or treat them for more specific injuries, and the advancement of the player status system. There's 3 tiers of sort of major injury type, minor injuries, multiple crippled limbs or more major injuries, and then life-threatening injuries. Is there any approximation of when 3.14 comes out? Yes, end of June is the approximation. However, typically they take a week or 2 longer if they're not ready yet. It depends what happens in the PT phase. So expect PT phase to start within the next couple of weeks. Will there be a Gregson Orison? There'll be some form of little pasty parlour for you, Flymo. Don't you worry. It is a war. Is there any sign when it will become available to the masses? Expect some major testing as part of 3.14. No, during the 3.14 cycle. Speaking about that little droiny boy, have there been any words on drones and ships that use them? So, not for a while. We did know they wanted to get some drone gameplay in last year, but they didn't. And I have not heard anything specifically about drones this year. You're probably going to ask this, but what are your thoughts on the apocalyptic change coming to ship balance? So, obviously huge changes with missile operator mode and power V2, power management V2, and these capacitor systems. I don't know until it's in my hands. I am concerned that it could be awful for the game, but I'm also excited that it might be great. Eventually, it will be probably a good change, but I'm hoping that they get it right or in a good place for 3.14. I don't want to be like, ugh. If you had anything through your resources to whether the Starfire and Reclaimer are getting a full rework, they're not getting, as far as I'm aware, I've not heard anything about them getting a full rework. Expect them to get some light changes and some tweaks and some updates for sure, though. Any news on insurance? When I bought my Aegis Avenger Titan, it came with 120 months of insurance. How much will insurance cost in game? It will be a minimal amount in game. However, the expectation is that insurance that you've got with your ships for free, like lifetime insurance or 120 months insurance, will only cover the default hull of the ship. Yeah. So if you lose that ship, if you put any new components on, you'll lose them and only get the default ones back. Yeah. Seems sensible. But you probably will be able to insure your ship for a greater amount to ensure the changed components and the changed weapons and stuff. Will server meshing improve performance? And servers will have to do a lot less. Well, I mean, it's integral for the game function as an MMO, and it's sort of tied in with the engine. So yes, but it will need optimization and stuff like that before it could cause a lot more problems when it's implemented initially. What are your thoughts on the possibility of Polos going nuclear as an event? Maybe. Are they going to change the front windows on the constellations? So they suggested that they were going to do a bit of a strut rework when the Taurus came in, or just after, making I think removing the struts and giving it rigid glass. I think that was the idea, but we'll have to wait and see. I think it's quite likely. So I was thinking that it would be more likely for them to destroy Port Olisar during a CIG event like Video or CitizenCon or something than during a dynamic event, but we'll have to wait and see. Any news on the updated star map? No new news yet. We know they're working on it. I think it's one of the major things that the Turbulent Studio are doing. Using the current one is like water torture. Yeah, indeed. Will CIG be more alien elements into the verse, like more alien ships that are sought after because they're unique or more advanced? Yeah. And components for the same reason. Do you think CIG will add a Tavaran Corvette support ship after? I think they're going to get loads of additional ships in the game, especially for aliens to flesh them out. When do you expect to see Theaters of War? I expect some major testing in 3.14 during that patch cycle, so over the next quarter. Do you think we'll see any tangible difference in the verse with the new president? With the new Imperator, Leon Anderson. So you'll see lore and missions themed around that with those with mentions in that. So it will certainly affect the game lore and flavour. As a wing commander, are you more a Matthew Lard? I can't if I can say his name. Freddie Prinze Jr. I love Freddie Prinze Jr. Would you rather work on an Orion or a Kraken loaded with mods and prospectors? Ooh! I like the idea of the Kraken loaded with mods and prospectors now. But I do have an Orion. I love my Orion. Is there any plan on how much money we can make in-game? Or now I can earn a new 600 iron a week. How long would it be reasonable to earn a new ship? Depends on your scale, your friends, your risk and reward. What mic should I be using, Board? I'm using an Audio-Technica AT2020. I've actually got quite a lot of background sound. I'm not sure if you can hear it or not. But I've got on my Streamlabs OBS, I'm using the noise suppression system. It's pretty CPU intensive, but I've got a 3950X, so I've got CPU to spare. Is there any plan on how much money? That's what we talked about. What's the next phase of personal gameplay? Like getting hungry and stuff. So they're updating the player status system to include hygiene, I think potentially tiredness, but hygiene and different ailments, things like that. So they're expanding that out with and different status effects. I remember the last flight model rework that they had to do due to the multitude of issues. Do you think they'll be as headstrong about capacitors? I don't know. It is a genuine worry that the capacitor gameplay and the power management gameplay might not be great in its first implementation. So hopefully they'll nail it or get it into a good state. When do you expect to see AI turret blades? So we've sort of seen them in game with the Bengal and some other ships now. I expect they're going to be working on them maybe 3/4 time, maybe Q1 2022. I think it's viable to potentially see start of AI blades in game. Maybe. Do you think I'm being a bit too optimistic there? And they've been working on them. I suppose I'm thinking more AI blades in general might start to be phased in then, even if it's just semi-automation. Maybe that's a bit early. Maybe that's a bit optimistic. It does depend if it's a focus for them. Anti-missile flak AoE type weapons planned. Certainly there are turrets which are more flaky, fiery, and certainly there are point defense type AI blades and turrets that are supposed to be used to shoot down torpedoes and things to give defense. So, do you think freelancers will get a weapon rack and or armor storage? Yes, I think they'll get a cupboard. I like cargo running, but I'm kind of confused on how it works. I go to a station to buy supplies, but I can't fill up my ship at once. So, do I have to wait until more stock is available? Yeah, basically, but the system is sort of... Sometimes it's a bit dumb, and sometimes it's obviously not as much stock as you will want to buy. Like, it's just tiny amounts. Will we see any tangible or visual difference in the game with the Gen 12 renderer? Yes. And it will be more scalable as well. I much appreciated the response. Former YouTuber getting back into the game with my new build, so it gives me a start now for lighting and cam tips. I'm happy to give you some help, Michael, at some point. Feel free to message me on Discord. You can answer questions on there. Do you think you could win Mastermind with Star Citizen being a special subject? Probably not. They'd ask really obscure questions. You're always full of helpful information and insight into the game. Thanks. I appreciate it. It is the primary way I get paid. By having people like yourselves watch my stuff and donate and become YouTube members by pressing that join button. Subscribing stuff. So appreciate it. I appreciate people turning up and asking questions. It's content. Have you heard if the Constellation series will have aftermarket modules and modifying to act like the Phoenix as a medical vessel? So there's going to be modularity for lots of different ships. To what extent? We don't know. For what ships? We don't know. Any news on server meshing? Nope. Other than they're working on it as part of the general persistent streaming sort of feature set. They're working on it now. I'm expecting it sort of middle of next year for the first implementation of server meshing. So have you noticed that the trolleys might be the first version of trailers for vehicles? Yeah, they could be, couldn't they? I was thinking that as well. Sort of modular parts of vehicles. Will we ever see unguided rockets come back into the verse? Yes. Will there be an oxygen fix to the... some of the armors that are broken? Yes. Don't know when, but probably 3.14. I remember seeing that they were suffocating people. Seeing as the latest Inside Star Citizen, and they talked about the Bengal. Never mind, you type. Okay, no worries. I know about Death of a Starman, but what about this really But what about this will really stop from self-destruct or ramming? I know larger ships, the more money would be a factor. So, okay. The death of a spaceman system is to help stop you doing stuff. It's supposed to make mortality important, yeah? So you're going to risk and reward for that is a factor. Also, why would you ram someone if it's that sort of thing? So, and if you start ramming people in safe areas, you're going to get a hell of a lot of issues. Because, I think it'll be hugely big criminal offence. I don't think that they'll have to pay for their ships either. I think you'll probably have to pay for their ships. I'm hoping they'll GTA 5 that. So you blow up someone else's car in a safe area or a ship or whatever. You got to pay for that. Blow up outside a space station. You're paying for that, and you got a criminal record. So it makes sense, right? And they don't get. They were right next to a hospital and a clinic, so they don't lose one of their lives. Not the way I do it. Do you think the Hercules have a sun inside of them? We don't. The giant glow is beautiful. Don't look into the light. I appreciate all the love. Thank you. News on vegetation, rivers, etc. We know they've done a little bit of work on rivers, as you can see, the sort of technical way that they could work when they put them in game. Lots of vegetation work gets done all the time. What would you class the most profitable for a beginner in Star Citizen and its current state? Could do mining. Could do bounty hunting running. Depends on the ship that you've got. As an industrialist yourself, would you like to be able to build your own stuff and ships? Yes, I'd like to have a full crafting system that's sensible in Star Citizen, so that we could, because that's going to make. Okay, so having at least some level of crafting in Star Citizen is going to make people building bases in Pyro really interesting gameplay. Because you have like, okay, 2 orcs go to war. Yeah, what does that actually mean? Well, you're going to want resources in a star system. You're going to want to push them out. You're going to you want the things that are there. So how do you move them out the system? Take away their supply. Well, they're not really probably getting supplied much from Ruin Station or whatever. They're going to need to have their own fuel and repairs and armaments and all that sort of stuff. Well, if you can craft them at base, they might have a base. So they build a base, so they don't have to keep on coming out of the Pyro system. They've got a base there, bam, they're producing all the munitions, the fuel, the repair stuff they need, potentially even more ships and things. Well, you get rid of that orc out of that area by fighting them, taking out their base, and then sort of like attrition will mean that they have to move into another system before they come back and try and build another base. I really like that idea for gameplay. That makes sense. That makes bases really important by having a crafting system in there as well. What are your thoughts? The order of implementation of unlocking armistice inside ports and locations is customs areas functional? Presumably AI will improve to cater for smarter security. I'm not 100% sure of the full magnitude of that question. They are going to be opening zones up, so FPS, to be able to fire your pistol pretty much wherever you want, and you can both smuggle weapons in and things like that as well. Customs areas will be a thing that will get activated as well at some point, and we don't know to what step or what extent though, in what order. The thinking is like if you're a bounty hunter, you'll be able to carry less than lethal weapons around with you, even through customs areas. But I'm sort of all for, as long as the law system's in properly, as long as we've got sort of security in areas. But yeah, I'm okay with them going, yeah, armistice zones, phasing them out, you can pull out your guns. Do you think that insurance will have exceptions for the use of self-destruct? Oh, I see what you mean. I don't know. Like insurance fraud. No, I think that will still cover your ship. It will just cover the base cost of your hull. Anyway. It's not going to be in your interest to blow up your ship in 99.9% of cases, eh? Because it's going to take time for you to get your ship back as well. Don't have to do bounty hunting to make money. Can do the drone missions. Pays about 20k for 5 minutes work. Okay, yeah, because you chain them, I suppose. You add cool arms to it. You get money. Yeah, yeah. Oh, your FPS guide is good. Thank you for picking up. I need to update it significantly. Just because there's a load of new stuff you can do. Sure. I'm not worried about accuracy. I have millions from various gameplay loops over the years, but when spending real money on a heavy fighter that I like fly at launch, it's not hard to feel burned. A light fighter can obliterate you in 6 seconds. Yeah, indeed. There's going to be balance for this. There's going to be balance for this. Not going to be the case. They wanted dogfights between similar ships to last for about 2 minutes. So it's not going to be the case that a light fighter will be able to rip you apart, especially with the damage system, especially with the physicalized components. It's going to be much more attrition based. We'll be damaging specific components and things like that, I expect. And light fighters will be at a disadvantage from the tankiness and the brawliness of most heavy fighters. Big disadvantage, you know what I mean? They're different. What else have we got? What's your opinion on Perseus? I love the Perseus, one of my favourite ships of that sort of size. What ships do I have in my fleet? Lots. Got a Perseus over the Polaris, though. Any idea? But the Perseus sort of fits a purpose. It is the big gun brawler for fighting large ships. It's not going to be great against smaller ships, well, unless you surprise them from long range. Any news on when the engineering table will start doing things? No. The idea about when module swapping is going to hit, it's planned for 3.15 now, and that will be with the Retaliator to start with. And what would it have for us? So you'll be able to switch out whatever modules they've got ready and available for the Retaliator, and that will expand out to things like Caterpillar and other ships as well. Character modularity is supposed to be a thing as well. How big of a performance hit do you think servers will see once Arisen and Cruiser to come online? I don't think the servers will see a hit. I think the object container string is pretty good for that. I think the zone itself might be pretty chunky frame rate wise, probably. It has to render long distance views, but it doesn't have to render huge amounts of assets in the same way that like Area 18 does. So it'll be interesting. New laggage. I like the term new laggage for new average. Do you think they will update targeting system to support eye tracking? It supports head tracking, but not the eyes. Oh, okay. Yes, I would expect that. I thought you could use it for targeting, but 30K will still be a thing even when the game is released. 30K is an umbrella term for any form of server-client disconnection, but they are less. Significantly so. For mining, is the Rock a good choice, or is the Prospector better? Depends on what type of mining you want to do. Prospector is a ship which can mine asteroids, can mine larger nodes on planets as well. The Rock, smaller, can make a huge amount of money in the Rock. The Rock DS is trash, but the normal Rock, as long as you don't mind mining the small nodes and actually have transport to move you around a bit fiddly sometimes, you can make quite a lot of money. Is there any way to see how much money CIG is spending each year in total PR? You can go to the Cloud Imperium's games website. That shows their year and a year behind. But you can see their financial reports and stuff there. Compared to how much money they get and how much there's available compared to other years. Yeah, Stars Gaming, you can see that. Although it's a year behind on the Cloud Imperium Games website. Although some of the numbers are obscured exactly what they're being spent, and that just gives you more generalistic terms. With animals coming to the verse, do you think we'll see a zoo on a planet? Yes, not with a full collection, but with a lot of animals, yeah. I think a zoo is a menagerie or zoo. How many P-52 Merlins can you fit into a C2 Hercules? I don't know. Quite a lot. It'd be like 8 to 12, probably, around that. how many years before CIG Gib Crucible? They are going to... Okay, so with Salvage, as planned a little bit later this year, they have got hand salvage at the very least, which will have hull stripping, and you can actually do hull repair with the same thing. If they do, the Vulture might be able to do that potentially as well, and then it becomes more viable to actually have the Crucible in game earlier rather than later. We'll have to wait and see. A few stuff up in the air that I'm sort of like, is this what they mean? Are they going to have the Vulture in game? Is the Vulture actually going to be able to repair now as well, maybe? You're way out exploring on Sir Carrick, and everyone on the ship logs out for the night. The captain cannot make it back on. Will this come down to permissions, and the ship owner sets to continue the mission? Yes. The other crew don't have access to the stuff. They'd have to hack it, I suppose. Are you still active in Evocati Test Flight at all? Did you step away to focus on your stream empire? I imagine it's quite a big undertaking. I do some ETF stuff, but not much. I'm still NDA'd for it. I still participate in the Evocati Test Flight. We do some bug reports and stuff like that. Playing the stress tests. My voice is now gone. I just want my 2 flagships, and only one is on the roadmap, BMM and Crucible. Looking forward to the Banner Merchantman. Will we get personalised hangars at the end of this year? Don't know. They want to have personal inventory and local inventories for hangars and habs and ships and the player. They are building towards these sort of like outposts and player bases and things like that as well at the moment. But given how you mentioned the Star Map's being worked on but isn't on the roadmap, what other things do you think aren't the roadmap? So I think some of the Star Map rework stuff is on the roadmap on the progress tracker. There's a load of stuff that's on the progress tracker. Now, you should be looking at that. There's a load of stuff that might be in the release patches as well, that they haven't listed. Well, it's on the progress tracker, but they haven't listed as being in that particular patch. There's some things they don't tell us about as well. They have unannounced ships for sure. They have some unannounced and minor features. Are we not supposed to get more dynamic events this year like Xenothreat? Yes. The 2 next ones that we know about are the Nine Tails Lockdown and one called Infiltrator, which I don't actually know anything about. What's next for Star Citizen? Well, there's quite a lot. So we've got obviously 3.14's coming up soon. We've got Alien Week in a couple of weeks. I think 3.14 is probably going to be the major thing for this month. And then obviously later in the year, we've got CitizenCon. We do have some relatively big patches, the 3.15 and 3.16 at the moment. I think that obviously you've got the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. So you've got a load of stuff happening throughout the year. And really, from sort of like October onwards is the big time for Star Citizen, October, December. I think June's got some good stuff coming on with it. Speaking of outposts, have you heard any more on when they will start deploying that sort of UAT? What is UAT? I don't know what a UAT is. Some sort of construction vehicle? What was it? Depends. What are we talking about there? Do you think the Apollo Medevac Triage could fit in the Polaris hangar? No, I think it's too big. The other day you said brrrr. Well, that was more gang. Brrrr. Depends. Brrrr. Are you talking about the Inferno? Brrrr. Or are you talking about brat, brat, brat? When do you think they'll fix Vandal Swarm? I want to unlock the gate. They are working on Vandal Swarm. Expect some updates shortly. I know it's far off, but have they talked about pricing model after release? No. Well, they have, but we need a huge update because it should have all changed, I suspect. User acceptance testing? What? I don't really know what that is. I don't know if it's in the context of your question. I don't... Hmm? Would I buy an Argo Raft? If the Argo Raft's a refinery ship, I'd probably buy it. If it's just a cargo ship, no. Right. Michael, feel free to message me about what exactly user acceptance testing is in regards to your question, and I'll answer it either on Discord or the next live stream I do. I'm going to dash off in a second because I need to eat breakfast and I want some painkillers because my stomach is still not great. So I am going to dash off. I'll answer a couple of questions before I do. What class of ships would fit in the Kraken hangar? Heavy fighter, maybe? So at least, yeah, probably a heavy fighter, at least a medium fighter. Obviously, you can land the ones that don't fit up top. Let me rephrase. Sorry, work-life bleeding over. Have they given any more timelines when they will allow players to start testing HABs and outposts? They are working on some of the least first steps with the new HABs and customizable HABs, and the local inventory system, and what if they've renamed the homestead stuff too, the cloning outposts too. But it looks like we were not going to be able to see that stuff properly until next year now, early next year. So keep that in mind. You might see it at CitizenCon though. When do you think the Crucible will go on sale again? Definitely during the November Intergalactic Aerospace Expo sale, but probably before that as well. I appreciate the likes. Thank you. Appreciate the love. I'd love to see a Drake heavy fighter. Yes.
Oh,
Me too.
cool.
Oh, Cynical. Thank you very much. 100 bits does make me feel better. Like, the cramp is retreating. Do we still expect to see the Boreal Stalker in 3.14? What, do we expect to see it before in 3.14? Jad, you desperately want this Yeti. Why trading is not fruitable for 3.11? What? I'm not sure what fruitable means. I never sold a banana. Right. I love you guys loads. I'm going to hand off to another streamer. We'll get a 3.14, what we can expect in that patch video out today, because obviously it's changed somewhat. I like those videos. I think I've already actually got one done that I did yesterday. I'm going to pass you over to Salty Mike. Hopefully he's going to be online for a bit longer. I love the boy. Yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. Love you loads. Big hugs and kisses. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll be getting a few videos out over the next couple of days. But yeah, thanks for joining me today. Love you loads. Be sure to click that join button under my YouTube videos, and maybe something about NordVPN. Chill. Love you guys.